Mel. I'll run the meeting tonight. Zoom is up and running.
Yeah.
6:30. Call to order, roll call, Cannon,
Yep.
Eisenbrown,
Yeah.
Clary. Online, maybe? Richardson, no.
No, he's not gonna be on tonight.
Okay, got you.
Molly's on the Zoom.
Yes, I'm here.
Snodgrass,
Hello, everybody.
hello. And Jim called me and said he was running a few minutes late. Holly's not gonna be here. Molly?
Here.
Did anyone, so if you're here, I'd appreciate it if you'd sign in at the door so we can capture your name and email address. And if you're on Zoom, let Steve know and let him have your name. Did anyone have a chance to read the minutes from Tuesday, December 5th and January 9th?
I read him.
I did,
Have a motion to approve one or the other or both?
motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
all ayes if you agree,
Aye.
nays if you don't. We're approved. We'll get those posted on the township website. Brief reports from the subcommittee members. When Jim gets here, he'll give us his report. Bruce is not here, so I will give us a quick report on infrastructure projects. Sanitary sewers, not much change. They're getting ready to lower the digger into the pit and assemble it and then start digging south. Water, we're still scrambling around to see if we'll have enough water. Roads, I have a letter that's dated January 16th this year from Delaware County Engineer, advising the residents in the area of planned improvements to the intersection of Harlem Road and Fancher Road, a single lane modern roundabout to be constructed, anticipated in 2027. So that's under design now, I guess. They'll have surveyors out by the end of the month. And then they'll see how they fit a single lane roundabout, that tiny little, squeeze it in somewhere. That's on roads. On power lines. The township filed a notice of interest. Let me see if I get, no, notice of intervention, rather. With the Ohio Power Siting Board. That was done yesterday. It's up on the docket now, which means that the township has the ability to join the discussions and the deliberations of the Power Siting Board. I think some township residents who have been impacted by the power lines have also become parties of interest. That's an update on the infrastructure. Molly, you have anything for us on websites? Email?
What do you mean, anything on the website? Like any updates?
Any on the communication side? Any report?
Yeah, I mean, no real updates. I'm continuing to collect email addresses. I keep the website updated. I'll add the latest minutes and the latest information on AEP, since they did file that application, and Harlem Township has, as you mentioned just now, filed the letter of intervention. So I'll get all that stuff up on the strategic planning page. I think on the further on down on the agenda, there was some agenda item about community meetings. So if we need to have any kind of discussion around what to plan or whatever, but No, I mean, it's kind of just, I try to send out major updates as they happen. So the next one that's due is for the AEP, kind of progress, I guess, so for lack of a better word.
Okay. And if you have any questions about the documentation or the links, we can work through that.
Yeah, that was just kind of like, there was so many emails that, going back and forth on the AEP stuff. I was trying to follow all of that. So I think I'll kind of reread through that and kind of pick out the important parts and put something together to send out to the residents.
Good, okay. Anything else?
No, not unless you think there's any other topics that warrant sending that, kind of mass communication out. But I think AEP is the most kind of recent and the one with kind of the biggest update recently. So I guess, I mean, I could send out maybe notes on that Intel presentation that was given up in Sunbury.
I didn't catch what you said.
Oh, I said I might be able to send out some notes on that, like Intel presentation that was given up in Sunbury. They didn't record that, but a different presentation that she gave to a different group was recorded, and it has like all the same info. To be honest, I went to that presentation. I don't know if anyone else here did. Actually, that's a good question. Did any of you guys make it to that?
It's real hard to make you out.
Is this any better? I'm talking closer to the phone now.
Almost like a reverb.
Yeah, that's a little better, Molly.
All right. Sorry, guys. I got stuck at home with sick kids. But what I had said was I asked if any of you had a chance to make it to that Intel presentation the other week.
Intel presentation. Did anyone go?
Yeah.
Yeah, did anyone go to that presentation? Was it at the high school in Sunbury?
Intel, I did.
I did. Yeah, I did go. I was just curious who all went. Interestingly, I found that all of the information, like none of the information came as a surprise to me. I think a lot of it was stuff that Holly and the, Crossroads had more or less presented to us, over the past 2 years. So
Yeah,
I thought
it was interesting, but I didn't hear anything at all that was new with respect to what we already have been discussing and have been aware of here at the this meeting and through the help of Holly and Molly. But there was a pretty good turnout. There must have been several hundred people in there.
Yeah, it was a good turnout, and I agree, Steve. I think the fact that none of that information came as a surprise, I think goes to show that our committee is, doing a good job on staying up on everything. So I think that just goes to show that we're doing good work and we're keeping ourselves and our township informed.
Okay.
That's really about it. So all that's on my mind.
Steve is here. Jim is here, so do you have your report ready, Mr. Jim?
Yeah,
Shoot.
All righty. Relations with the residents and developers and that type of thing. As the new year has started, people are thinking in advance, of course, even though it's cold and snowy and that type of thing. So we've had just this month 2 large developers approach us. Had meetings with them. That's to be expected. Had some back to the developers. One was from New Jersey. And when we told him we didn't have any sewer or water, he decided that wasn't a good idea. Yeah, that one. Another one came in and didn't even have to get that far. So he sort of knew that, and then he asked us if we knew of any good properties for sale. And And we told him we're not realtors. We don't give that out. And but they were serious. They've been pounding on doors. Especially in the southeast quadrant, where the sewer line's coming up. Everybody seems to be beating doors down there. Had a nice talk with them. They had not read, which I don't know why, it's on there. Go in and read our zoning, read our overlays and requirements. So, you know, when they start asking questions, we say, it's all there. All you gotta do is read it. I said, oh, I didn't know it was there. So I said, you'll save hours and hours of discussion and back and forth if you read it. So that was relayed to them. Also, several conversations again with landowners. Some of the predominant, and it's been this way, some of the predominant questions are, I want to sell and retire, or I am retired, and I don't want my legacy to be that all my neighbors hate me. Again, I said, we've got the overlays with 40 and 50%, you know, open space. I said, in your contract, you can do whatever you want as a deed restriction. I said, you need to consult your lawyer. And I said, you need to look at that. And they thought that was a great idea. That they were just worried that there's just gonna be fields and fields of their farm were just all developed into this massive quagmire of buildings. And I said, no, we're taking precautions. There is that. So that makes them feel better. And lets them, you know, move on with whatever their journey is going to be. Outside of that, I assume since I was late, I assume the Utilities Commission or Committee talked about lack of water, lack of sewer. Now we're getting to lack of electric. Again, not to scare anybody, if you want to build a house, you can build a house. That's not it. We're talking about concentrated, you know, small subdivisions, that type of thing where you're going to have a concentration of water or a concentration of electric. So we have to relay that to people coming in and wanting to do something, which also is a good chance for us to work on planning and be a little more selective because it sort of slows things down. So, but that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions or something, maybe I can answer them, but outside of that, pretty much done.
You mentioned the sewer, the southeast quadrant, where does it want to start and where is it going to end?
It's starting on Smothers where the pipe's coming in. It's going to be county and developer driven. The original idea in 1996 is to cover the whole township. So that takes 10, 20 years to get something like that done, but it's going to start down there. So which way it goes depends on where the development goes. They'll follow the development and then branch off of that. So, but that's where it's starting. So that's ground zero.
What's the progress on the roundabout at Fancher and 605?
There again, the utilities guys, I think they're just now looking at it, aren't they?
No.
Fancher and 605, that's the state. And they've already staked it off.
Utilities.
Yeah, they put the.
Is it going to start this year?
Yeah, they're gonna start that. Then they're looking at one for Fancher and Harlem.
Really?
Yeah.
And I see.
That's county, so if you don't like it, call the county.
Right.
So, yeah, that one's county, the other one's state, this is county.
They're also looking at Walnut 605, putting a roundabout in, even though that doesn't affect us.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's coming.
They're going roundabout nuts. I mean, it's just every time you turn around, roundabout.
Well, you know, that's not all bad. It's because it
Right.
slows traffic down.
Yeah, it does.
And it's a pretty smooth way to manage entry and exits, a lot safer.
I'd say if they're done right, we've been able to experience the ones that were done wrong. And then the ones that were done right. And again, one of the developers that we talked about, who develops in this area, that's what we actually talked about roundabouts a little bit. And, they were getting like farmers. They're not wide enough, so the farmers can't get their equipment over it, and they end up running over the turf and the curbs and that type of stuff, so, I think they're starting to get more experienced at doing them and hopefully better. So,
You know, it just occurred to me, I've seen plenty of roundabouts up to 45 miles an hour, but I haven't seen any at 55.
They're not designed for that.
Well, that's what we're doing. On 605 at that point.
That
55 miles
traffic
an hour.
circle will slow traffic down to 25 miles an hour. So they're designed for.
I hear you, but
I get what you're saying.
But I'll
I've
see
seen
it
them
on
on
the
a
golf
couple
cart.
take longer to get to the store.
I'll believe it when I see
They do
it.
that on 55 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Break it down and they slow them down.
So then they one up on, so they're talking about maybe one up on 37 and South County line, up on that northeast
Yes.
quadrant. So isn't that a sort of an elongated one for the semis to get through or something like that, what do they call it?
It's gonna be-
Something?
They might,
Yeah,
it depends. It's skewed. Roads don't cross at 90 degrees, so they've got an issue there.
oh, yeah,
And you got one at Center Village and County Line,
right.
and then Fancher County Line.
So for those of you who don't know, this is Ron Maddox, resident of the township and a traffic engineer,
Yes.
retired.
Retired. Now he's got a label so you guys can.
I guess as long as they don't make the Sunbury peanut again. That weird looking thing off of 61.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, not do that.
Great job.
So the only thing I would add to Jim's presentation on the utilities, the lack of utilities, is that while it might slow things down, it also, in my mind, presents a threat that if a developer in the township can't get utilities here now, they'll go wherever they can to try to annex into another municipality. And I think that's the risk, is that even if we do what we've done with the overlay zoning, there's still a risk that developers will be forced in a way to annex out of the township. We'll see.
oh, I got one other thing, Tom.
Yep, but
Sorry, I just remembered it. In talking to one of the developers, up in Galena on Vans Valley, in that Vans Valley, coming off.
Yeah.
By the church there, that they're gonna go ahead and build that subdivision this year. And it's gonna be, it's on the east side. They're gonna go ahead and cross Big Walnut Creek with the sewer and build 296 houses right there.
Where's that gonna be?
Vans Valley and Sunbury Road.
just south of Galena.
Yeah, south of Galena. And that's in this, and that's in the city of Galena. That's in Galena.
And that was originally, and may still be, this is like phase one. Cause it was cited, I went to the meetings in Galena a couple years ago for over 750 houses.
Yeah, that could be just half of it or whatever. But yeah, 296 houses. So, and they are going to start this year. That's all I had.
Well, on that happy note. Molly, you have anything for us?
Potentially. So last time I talked about overlays, we were talking about the potential to expand along 605 and then little chunk into the industrial sub area C. I have the maps we can look at again and see kind of where we were at with those and talk about that. Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's do that. So I'm gonna share my screen so that we can see up at the top. So this is kind of, okay. Let's see, if we can see that a little better. Okay. So basically, the red outline was the area that we identified for the Center Village overlay. The blue little square up there, we were talking about doing just a map amendment to the existing industrial overlay in sub area C, which would then it would go through the same process that it did initially, but as we discussed last time, it wouldn't threaten the existing overlay. It would just, if it was referendumed for any reason, it would only affect that little square there. Then the green was an area that we identified as well to be added to an overlay. But at the last time we talked, we weren't sure where it should go. So I think the conversation was really, do we want to add it into the mixed use sub area, or do we want to add it into the industrial sub area A area? And then that would be the same thing, just a map amendment as well, if we wanted to do that. I looked through the overlays to see kind of where that green section would fit into, whether it would be better in the mixed use or whether it would be better in the industrial. When we talked about it last time and kind of just, a very broad overview of uses that we were thinking of, hotels and motels did not come up. CLRA allows for hotels and motels, so if you want those in there or if you don't want those in there, that could affect the decision. CLRA, which is the industrial, also has provisions for the potential acceptance of septic. So if we want this area to be served by sewer potentially, maybe mixed use is better, but if we want septic to be an option, maybe industrial is better. CLRA also has provisions for the multi-use path that's required to meander through developments. Should I
Go ahead.
pause?
Go ahead. No,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
Keep
okay.
going.
I didn't know if this is pertinent.
No, well, it's kind of germane to what you're doing. We'll
Okay,
follow up
sure.
in a second.
So
So,
CLRA would be the same as the southernmost
mhm,
portion of
the industrial
overlay
area,
that was just.
correct.
Having,
Somewhere around Montgomery and.
so we can get into.
Yep,
the real
that's
discussion.
right. So CLRA also has the provision that the multi-use path would meander through developments, whereas I think, just talking about the potential for the Center Village overlay, I think if we wanted to have, multi-use paths along the frontage of roads to make some walkability in Center Village, it might make more sense to kind of continue that multi-use path along the frontage, going up 605. So if we want that, it might be better for it to be the mixed use standard than it would be for the CLRA, excuse me, multi-use path standard. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is that the mixed use overlay has a setback of 200 feet versus the CLRA would have a setback of 100 feet. So those are kind of the big differences besides obviously uses between the two. So I guess, just kind of wanted to hear the committee's thoughts on, do we think it fits into either of those, or what do we want to do with that green box?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? That's an important piece of property, along 605. Personally, I think we need discussions on what you brought up. It may be written thoughts come in so we can sit down and, go over it without just off the top of our heads. 605 is an important area.
Yeah.
North of Center Village, it's very important. You brought up some really good points. I think, maybe we should task the members with looking at that and writing down their ideas so we can pool them. And then at the next public meeting, Tom, if we'll put that on the agenda, that we actually discuss the comments and the research. I've thought about it. Everybody's thought about it. Obviously, Molly's thinking about it. And I just think it's so important. We need to research it some more. That is a very important area.
Mhm.
So you made two suggestions. One is to have Molly put what she just said in writing for us. And here's the mixed use. and what its characteristics are. And here's the CLRA and how they're different, and maybe a recommendation.
Yeah, and
And then we would just go through the zoning.
well, I don't know, that we have a chance to change some things in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is that, you know, if you want to change something or add something, now's the time to do it. And because that's such an important area that I think, me personally, you guys, you know, I think personally, we need to look at what she's got and then see if there's something we want to add, change, subtract. Because it's also a different part of the township. I mean, it's, you know, now you're going north out of Center Village.
Right.
I just think, with those large open spaces up there, that maybe a little more discussion. On the, same note, on the area that, what is that, purple or blue box?
Yep.
That's the one we were talking about to be, added industrial. We're getting some comments from people in the, township that want to discuss, being included in that area. At that point, what I would suggest, if you're listening, is to go ahead and email us. Somebody said they did, and we didn't respond. I don't remember that email. But before we make any decisions on that, we would entertain the residents to get back to us so that if need be, that they be included, or if they're not included, as to why not. Because we're getting pretty close to making that decision.
Any other comments on the boundaries? I would question in the green area.
Mhm.
Because having it zoned one way on the east side of 605 and a different way on the west side of 605, I think driving down 605, you go, why aren't they the same? If it's good for the east side, why not the west side too? Maybe a narrow strip.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not a professional planner like Molly, but I think there is a formula like 60-40 residential versus commercial. You have to decide what you want for, percentage wise, residential versus commercial
Mhm.
and industrial. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's also, you know, really kind of just dependent on what you all want to see, but to that comment, Tom, you know, thinking about doing like a narrow strip, you know, we have to consider if we want to add that to like the industrial sub area, that probably won't really work, right? Maybe if it goes into the mixed use and we, you know, I guess modernize it, update it
Yeah.
from last year, you know, maybe that would work better. But yeah, I think really what we probably need to do is have you all just look through the existing overlays and see what your vision would be for that corridor. Maybe thinking about the west side too.
If you want to do that.
Yeah.
So right now you've got the Glass Rooster on the east side of the road. You've got Fire Truck Wheels on the east side of the road. Those are both commercial type. And you've got a Fight, I think, on the west side, Cabinet Maker. And I'm sure there are other people in there who are just operating under the radar. But you've got that kind of commercial activity on both sides of the
Mhm.
road. And I don't see how you could say it's good for this side and not good for the other. You
Yeah,
might, I think,
That's fair. That's a fair point.
then you need some type of narrow strip, and then you'd say you're kind of more residential slash
Mhm.
commercial, where somebody's working out of their house or running a small business, the cabinet maker works by himself. Fire Truck Wheels is a call center, an internet call center, they've got 3 or 4 people in a renovated barn. It doesn't look like a business.
Well, it's not going to change their business.
No,
Even if we do this, and this is just an overlay, you still have the underlying zoning. If they want to do expanded home occupation and that type of thing, they can still do that.
Yeah.
What I'm more concerned about is the big businesses coming down the road. You know, what it's gonna look like when they see that area open up. And, so you've got Sunbury coming from the north. For those who don't know, Sunbury's annexing 1,000 acres already of Trenton Township and expanding even further. They've asked the county for permission to, Sunbury has to go ahead and service those east of them with sewer. So you're gonna have that expansion to the north. So I'm just, besides the home use, you know, the small, I'm concerned about what we, you know, what that looks like if somebody with bigger commercial comes in, Tom.
Yeah.
You know, the residents we want to take care of, and we do have underlying zoning, I think, that can take care of them. I'm thinking, I wasn't thinking of the residents, I thought they were taken care of. I'm more concerned about, are we gonna open that area up to more commercial type, you know? But that's something we all should discuss and talk about and lay out. You know, and go forward. It's really an important piece of property and we really need to get into that a little more.
And looking at the map, you can see that on the east side of 605, you have fewer
Yes,
large parcels. You have predominantly large parcels. We're already on the west side, especially south of Woodtown.
right.
It's already been subdivided.
Yeah, so my feeling is, you know, what do we want to do? Especially up near the Trenton border.
Yeah.
Where you got open fields on both sides of the road.
Yeah.
Even public comment on, you know, what they think, you know, they would like to see in there. I mean, that's something that's important. That's the northern part of the township. You know, everybody has an idea, but there again, we have to look at the mix. And, you know, the residential mix versus commercial mix. Where are we at? Where are we at on sewer capacity? Projected sewer capacity
Right.
and that type of thing. So,
So maybe you take the green rectangle and expand it towards the west, just with those 4 or 5 large parcels.
yeah,
Here,
And yeah, not even all the way down to Woodtown and not all the way up to Trenton Road, just so it's
the big,
4 large parcels.
okay, sure.
I mean, realistically, for somebody to adopt or use the overlay, there has to be 25
right,
contiguous acres anyhow.
right.
And anything south of Woodtown really isn't
You're not gonna get it.
gonna happen, right? Unless somebody does a domino of piece and pieces
Right,
together.
yeah. But like I said, those are large tracts and you have to be very careful. So on the other side, we're coming off industrial, working our way towards 605, and then we go into some form of nice mixed use. But we're coming off that industrial. As we come on the other side of 605, you're coming off residential.
Yeah.
So that's where you sort of have a problem and, you know, what are we gonna put next to the residential?
Yep.
Well, we had that same issue with them with
Yeah.
LRC
Right.
and those setbacks and buffers for the
Right.
residential.
And I mean, that might be fine. I mean, what Steve just pointed out might be fine. I just sort of like us. To make, try to make sure, get maybe some public feedback. If anybody here has any ideas. Or at the next meeting, say, hey, if you got ideas.
Mhm.
And we sit down and guys just run, print off a copy of the map if you can at home and doodle on it. And put in your comments, look at the uses on our other overlays.
The other thing I think that we left out was the area south of the blue box.
Well, we're getting comments on that.
Yeah.
And that's why I said that maybe I asked those people to, we're asking those people to get back to us. So we can see what they had in mind and see what's going on before we do that.
There's only a couple big properties there, right?
Yeah,
No, otherwise it's
what I'm
really
worried about
dense.
is frontage.
Yeah.
The people that are requesting to be added, we need to look at frontage. Do they have the frontage? Do they have, access, to the type of, that they're asking, if they want industrial in that. There again, when we started this exercise, Mike and I identified a lot of those large parcels, but they were very limited on their access.
Right.
Because the farmers had sold off their
They're
land.
landlocked.
Yeah, and a lot of them aren't even 60 foot wide. A lot of them are like 20, 30 foot wide. So, that you have to take into consideration. So from back here, I can't, I can't judge that's all right, I'll say it now. But we'll have to look and see what the access is to those properties that are below that blue line. Because they are different owners. As to, available, access and availability and that type of thing.
Okay,
And I would entertain, we're open, we would entertain, their comments and their wishes.
Would you consider expanding the pink boundary north up towards the blue box? Does that make sense? I don't know.
Now you're getting into an area that we know is an important piece of property. And we've had comments, from outside, like 3 or 4 different people have identified that because it is such a nice, big, beautiful, piece of property. There again, I think we need to rely on professionals, to help us identify, based on the ingress and egress coming from Intel area and traffic. And what we want, would want to see there as it goes into Center Village.
Yeah, it'll also have a high tension power line along the northern boundary, which will cut it off from the parcels
Right,
between there and going north.
but if I remember right, isn't that almost like 300 acres up in that area?
Don't remember.
It's a huge parcel that it's in an estate and the kids inherited or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm just going from memory.
I think it used to be the Morrison farm.
Yeah. It's a big, beautiful, but what's interesting about that parcel is that we get a lot of comments from outside developers and people looking, that when they're looking at the township, for some reason, a lot of them have gravitated to that just for the access over towards Intel because it's on Center Village Road, which then it goes into Duncan Plains and that type of thing. So that is an important, and I would defer to professional planners to look at that and give us some more input on that before we, do something.
And the last comment I would make is on our Yellow Rose of Texas Village Center. I see you extended that point going up where it was cutting through a single parcel, I think, when I saw the map last.
Yeah, so I think it's fixed. Is
Yeah,
that,
that's fixed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but I think that line wasn't as high up as it is now.
I think she included that, it's all one parcel.
It's all one parcel and
Yeah.
we had a line cutting through it.
Right.
I guess the only thing I would say is that if you look, in terms of a walkable city center, from the center of the village south, there's a certain distance, and I think the same distance going north would include those 2 long rectangle parcels. That would basically fill in that area as part of the village center. Just
Isn't one of those a new house or something?
you don't know.
Yeah. I would look and see what's on there. If there's something fairly new that's
Yeah.
not gonna be redone in the near future, I don't know.
I think where your cursor is, I think it's a little bit weird where your cursor is, those 2 long narrow
Yeah,
parcels.
we see what you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And just square that off and
I would look at that geographically, Tom. I think, you've got a good idea, but I would want to see what's on there now.
Mhm.
about the same distance.
Because the other parcels behind it are farms. I mean,
Yeah.
those are crop fields.
Yeah.
So, but you know, if those could be developed without, but I'm thinking somewhere in there, somebody built a new place. And, but anyway, yeah,
That's it.
okay, that's good, good point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a note to look at that.
So I guess then also for Center Village, we have a design person looking at putting something together, just kind of like a vision thing. So I don't have.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's dinner time.
Well, there you go. How about that?
Oh my gosh,
Let's go see if they're ready.
Yeah, it's good.
there you go.
I hope they made enough.
Get on upstairs.
Yeah. So we should have that to show soon. But that will just kind of be looking at, you know, if things are reconfigured or new things are built and added, how do we make that a good circulation
Yeah,
system?
that visual, I think we're gonna use that visual for several things. Yeah,
Mhm.
that'd be nice.
Yep. So that's in the works.
When do you expect that to be presented?
I'm at the mercy of the person doing it who is contracted through us. So I don't necessarily have a time frame, but I think we can have one at the next meeting, a time frame.
And they're looking at that and everything within the red line?
I don't think everything, I think more focused in this specific area, like where we are right now.
We're trying to get a visual, so when you look at maps like this all the time, it's hard for some people to get a visual of what we're envisioning for. It's not actually what we're gonna zone it or that type of thing. It's going to be a visual to see what our ideas are. And also not just for us, but I think the utility committee wanted to have some visuals for the county engineer. And that type of thing to show what our vision was when they're figuring traffic flows and that type of thing. So it's gonna be nice, but it's gonna be multi-use. We're gonna use that visual for a lot of things.
So I know that Ed Valeska, for those who don't know him, sits on the Township Parks Planning Committee. And he's deeply involved in the park and expansion of the park. And all things parks.
Yeah, clarity on the vision for Center Village is very important in regards to any grants
Well, that's what,
that we're considering.
I think this is going to show what we're asking for. We'll see how it comes out. What we're asking for was something that shows the walkability. In other words, you can say, well, I want to walk across Center Village Road to go to this store, whatever, you know, little shops we envision. But when you say it, but when you get to see it, that's different. It's, oh, I see what you're talking about. So those are things we're kind of trying to come up with. So it's a little something different than we've done before, but we think it's important. And also, when we leave this room and we go to the engineer's office and those type of places, that they're getting an idea of what we're talking about.
And it'll also give options as far as the configuration of the township's facilities, like where the maintenance building.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
How the
Well,
firehouse.
and that all
might
fits, yeah, that all fits together because we want walkability and we want continuity.
Mhm.
In other words, pipe dream, you know, the farmer's market. Okay, actually year-round farmer's market. Well, if you have it where the kids can go play, or you have a parking area and you can go to the shops. Up where, you know, the carry out is now, maybe a few more shops or something like that. If it all ties together, walkability, that makes for better shopping, it makes for a better feel, just the whole thing. So that's what we're trying to see how we're gonna tie all that together.
Good.
In the park.
Hey, Molly, I got a question on that. This is Matt Yeager. Who's the contractor design on that?
Oh, I don't know.
What do you?
Holly knows.
Okay. If you don't mind getting that to me in an email or something, I'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Sure.
That was Matt Yeager, trustee.
Yeah, I'm a trustee
From Tokyo.
from Tokyo,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
huh? Yeah, he had a flight out to Tokyo.
Yeah, sorry, that was me. Arigato gozaimasu.
So
Oh.
you wanted to know who.
Who's making it?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
All right, anything else?
got it?
Any questions from the public?
It's open to the public.
Yep.
I've got a few questions because I'm trying to understand the talks that the committee's having with Westerville.
Mhm.
My neighbor got a couple of calls and he texted me and I said, well, I'm coming to the meeting tonight. I'll see. Plus I've heard other things. Is it accurate that one of the options that the committee was looking at discussing is actually merging with Westerville?
Well, we looked at we're looking at a lot of people. In fact, we're even going back and looking at Galena again. Because of the sewer coming across. So we're looking for a partnership. We're not looking, that type of thing with Galena. So, and Matt's been working on it also. So the utility problem, which was put on us, we didn't create it ourselves. In other words, Harlem Township did not overuse utilities. Now we don't have any. We never had any to be overused. So the state, through their benevolence, so to speak, says that they're gonna have money available to try to fix this problem. But the problem is they don't want to do it on a small scale. They want to do it regionally. And so in other words, if we have 500 acres on the south side of Harlem Township that we need utilities, the state's not interested. What they want to do is include Harlem Township, Westerville, New Albany, Sunbury. They want to make it a region and come up with a regional solution. And then there's supposedly, and I haven't been to the meetings, Matt's been to that. Supposedly, by doing regional, they're gonna release some money. So, before that announcement, we were looking for, and are looking for regional partners. Westerville came up with an idea that if Westerville, Harlem, and then we were talking with Delco, which services a big area. So we're trying to count them as regional because they service such a big area. We're looking at a way how we can partner with everybody and achieve those goals. So there are talking about JEDs, CETAs, mergers, to everybody's, I want everybody to understand, because people don't understand what a partnership versus annexation is. There's no talk, we don't do annexations. That is driven by a property owner. So New Albany doesn't drive an annexation. The property owner asked New Albany to annex into New Albany. So we get a lot of calls that, oh, you're gonna annex to Galena, or you're gonna annex in. No, we don't, that's not a government function. Annexation is not, so I want everybody to understand it. That is not a government function. So, some of the people who used to be, and when we started this process, Bob, that we looked as possible partners have, turned into aggressors. And not only that, they're not willing to share. And part of it is the utilities. And even in talking with Delco, Mike and I have been to several meetings with Delco. And they're very territorial because they don't want to lose their share. And so we're finding that out. You go to Johnstown, they're having problems. Sunbury's on an expansion mode and they don't want to share. And so, yes, we're talking, like I said, we want to talk to Galena again. We're talking with Westerville. Where that's going to go, we don't know. And really, nothing's been signed, nothing's been determined. So there's lots of rumors out there. We are looking into that. I can't speak for Matt. Matt has gone out and also talked to some other entities. So there again, one of the other things we're looking at is doing it on a private public partnership, maybe with developers and township, and those would include things like a NCA and a TIF, which is a tax on new construction, and trying to build a line of that because of the property that's already been acquired. So that is forming, and we have a meeting the 1st of March with those individuals, those property owners and developers. So as to, and they're working on the finance of that, because we're looking at numbers. So when you look at a large area and you have to run water lines, sewers, all that, and how's that going to get financed? So I told the private entities, I said, fine, you're talking about all these acreage and this and that. I said, we want to see the numbers. We want to see what you're anticipating bringing in from the TIF, what you're anticipating bringing in from the NCA, how this money is going to use for infrastructure and in the township, and part of those the township will participate in. We don't have the borrowing authority, but when you start one of those entities, then you get into borrowing and getting some money to support that. So Mike and I are, had a meeting, and we've asked those individuals to get down to more detail. And on this group of developers and landowners, to look and see if that would be a good option for us. Before we were looking for entities, like towns, cities, that type of stuff to help us. But we're also at this point, because so many of those don't want to help now that Holly originally thought would. And even they have that problem in Jersey Township too, which she was part of, that people that she had mentioned that were going to help them over there didn't help them. So one of the things is Plan B, C, D, whatever you want to call them. But we don't have anything to report. So nothing's in writing, or we don't have a plan that I can put up on the screen right now. I wish I did, because we've been 2 years at this, as you well know. And so we have to sort of move and adjust because of this utility thing. So that's what we're working on. Does that help?
You've spoken with Monica and Jason in the city of Westville?
She came over and introduced herself.
Okay.
Yeah, she did.
And is there a serious discussion of the township merging with Westerville?
Well, there's serious discussion on, there's no annexation. JEDs. Financial, incentives. Merger was mentioned. Also that was mentioned with Galena. And I don't know what Matt's working out with the other entities. Columbus, no, we're not merging with Columbus, or we're not annexing to Columbus if we can help it. Columbus is coming this way, and they have some utilities that are down on our border. So that's where we're at.
Did we have professional planners or an attorney at those meetings, or was it just committee members?
Committee, we had an attorney named Pete Briggs. He came in and talked to us.
No, I mean, at the meetings with Galena or with Westerville.
They had an attorney there. I don't know if Pete was there or not. I mean, some of these meetings, like when as you know, when you go to Delaware, it's like one
Mike's
time.
shaking his head.
There was a Pete was not
Okay,
with us.
it was just
Over the rest of
represented.
Yeah, I'm trying, because what happens, there was 12 people. Yeah, and Holly was there. So it's like when you go to Delaware, we went to a sewer meeting with Monica. And it was just supposed to be like 4 or 5 of us there, and we get there and she brought everybody from Delaware. So sometimes I don't remember who all was there, because I'm just 1 or 2 people I'm supposed to be talking to, and everybody else is sort of like background.
What's the current status of discussions?
Discussions are finance and geography. The geography is, how do we get water? Can Westerville help? Can Delco help? Can Galena help? Now we're into,
Isn't it accurate that Delco has Delaware County regardless of
they have what?
the rights to
Yes.
service Delaware County
Delco service,
regardless of,
Delco services Harlem Township no matter what,
correct, so.
But if they don't have the water,
but they don't have the water.
I know, but what's the difference? Someone else can't.
Westerville has some excess water. So the meeting was with Delco and Westerville, how they could get their Delco's water and Westerville's excess water. How would you get that to Harlan Township?
Building.
And they will work out a financial agreement. I don't know what that is. I don't know how much the water costs, but the water is sitting over in Allen Creek. Okay, so the water is sitting in Allen Creek. Delco still has rights to some. It's allocated out. I don't know how it works. It's allocated. Westerville has some that they're not using. So they both have intakes at Allen Creek. So the discussion that Mike and I were at was, how does this, how can Westerville take their excess, Delco take their excess, and they had engineers there. And they were discussing how to get the water, you gotta get it treated, and then you gotta get it over here. They were working on that. I don't know. Delco is talking about how do we get across Hoover, Columbus is blocking. Coming
Yeah, they
across.
won't
Hoover.
allow
Yeah, so they're, well, they allow it, so Delco, for if everyone wants to hear this. So Columbus told Delco that they could bore under Hoover. Just like the gas line did, which was a catastrophe and economically. So Delco said they figured it would cost them $8 million just bank to bank to go under Hoover. And there was no guarantee of work. So they're a private entity. They said they weren't willing to take that chance. So they're trying to figure out how I guess there's some room on the bridge yet for another line, but it's not big enough. So the other place that unless somebody or the state can get Columbus to relinquish. So what Delco wanted to do was trench the bottom of Hoover, and then just cover it back up, then we'll undo it. So unless you get the state or somebody to put some pressure on them, they're talking maybe with this regional thing or whatever. So the other idea was you gotta go underneath or south of Hoover and come back up, which I think is a engineering nightmare. Just from the geography and trying to get it done. But these were things that were thrown out while Mike and I were there. We're not engineers. They gave us use numbers of what they feel that the number of gallons we need is here. And right now we're getting less than 1 million gallons. My guess, they didn't give us exact numbers. I would say we're between 500 and 750,000 gallons a day. The use numbers needed for the southern half of Harlan Township is 5 million gallons a day.
That's what Intel uses.
Well, yeah, so, we have no other place, I guess, Delco there, again, I'm not a water expert. I go to the meetings and I said, we need water in our tower. Not only do we need water in the tower, we need pressure. So, I don't know, I guess there's a reservoir in Knox County.
Yeah, but Delco has said it's gonna take 2 years
Right.
to get.
Right.
Any.
So, and what we're telling developers now, from my end and Mike's end, is you may have sewer when it finally gets here, but you may not have the water. Because it's gonna take more time to get it here. So, yes, Westerville was in the discussion with Delco, and Mike and I went. Westerville left, then Mike talked to them some more, on what we can do now. And for the people that want to do something now. Nothing was decided that we know of at those meetings with the engineers. They had Westerville City water guy there, Delco engineers were there. They were talking about easement problems, this problem, those problems. Like I said, after the meeting, Mike and I, Westerville left, Mike and I stayed and talked with them. And but that was something that we know that Westerville has water, excess water. Delco's got some excess water, but they don't know how to get it here. And it's not enough, by the way, the amount of water they're talking about is still not enough water. Yeah, so that's where we're at.
What length of time do you feel it's gonna take you to work out? The dynamics of.
I would like. The committee would like. to be able to have something to talk to people about around March.
Say, talk to people, you mean the public?
Yeah, yeah. Right now, I don't have anything. I don't have
Another
anything.
meeting like the one at the church.
Yeah, maybe a meeting at the church or, and bring all these options that they're floating out there, but the problem is they're so fluid. I mean, we were told by Tiffany a whole bunch of stuff at the beginning. And then we go up to a meeting and it's all different on the sewer. Same way with the water. We were saying, oh, you guys are fine on water. Then all of a sudden they bring out their water maps. They go, oh, shoot, we weren't expecting this. We don't have any water. So everything that we thought we had, now we don't have. So now we're looking for other partners. Columbus has some stuff, but we haven't found out yet. Some people were looking into it. We haven't found out yet how much shortage is there from Columbus for Intel and those guys, because they're supplying into New Albany and then up that way. I even got, we try not to go that way. We stay out of that area. They're fighting for water over there like crazy. Electric.
Nothing on the door.
So I had Tom do the same exercise with the electric company that we did with Delta. So our zoning is that we have three units to an acre on our overlay, which would be 100 acres, would be 300 homes. Of course, you've got the open areas and stuff. So I said, let's use that as an example. Because right now we got a lot of acreage, so 100 acres in Harlem Township is no big deal, right? So Tom got with his contacts at AEP. And can you provide electric for a 300 acre or 300 home subdivision?
We started at 50.
Well, and work your way up, yeah. And so basically, no. So in 2025, they had to do what they call switching. I don't know what that is, plant to plant or whatever. And said they could probably do in 2025 at some point, the 300, but beyond that, no. And they were to tell developers to plan on 3 to 4 times their average weight, or whatever they were averaging at 3 to 4 times, and then they're not sure they'll get it. So these are the problems we're looking at as we find, and we're trying to, figure this stuff out. So we've been tasked with that. I don't know. So what was not a problem 2 years ago has turned into a problem.
The major problem.
Well, I think most people in the township would say, great. We're building 35 homes a year,
That's fine, but back to Tom's talk. So the reason we're doing this and even talking for public, private and that type of thing is that we have an aggressor on our southern border. And we have an aggressor now, Sunbury, aggressing out. And it's not them as the entity that's buying up that land. Yeah, along 37. So you have an aggressor on the southern border and you have aggressor. If we don't have the utilities, the developers and the builders are gonna say, we're gonna annex.
Yeah.
Where we can get the utility.
I agree there.
Yeah.
Has the committee reached out to Sunbury? And said, we want to sit down and set up agreements.
Oh,
Red Z or
Yeah.
Jed. or-
So originally, yes, not lately. Galena's on the next on the map, on the list. We have not talked to Sunbury
New mayor.
of Galena, that's why.
No, well, new mayor of both.
Right, okay. Historically, Sunbury doesn't do what Harlem Township likes done. Sunbury hasn't learned on their development plan, and I'm talking from experience and knowledge. Sunbury has not learned in 20 years how to develop properly. And they control it themselves. And I've had discussions with them in the past. And I can show, and I've shown the committee, where they made this mistake 20 years ago. And you got a brand new development and they made the same mistake again. And what happens is they don't have any institutional retention. In other words, they don't, one administration 20 years ago, the new administration doesn't remember what happened. So the same mistakes are made over and over. Yeah, so that is a problem with Sunbury, is when you try to talk to them, they're just a different animal. They're a different animal than almost everybody else. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, given what you said here this evening and the issues that we have that we're facing and trying to address, to what extent will the developers who were pushing, when we just read in the paper, in Sunday's paper, it was in it earlier, where they want to do away with townships, basically, eliminate township zoning. And, you know, that would mean then, in terms of what would happen, potentially, they don't have to worry about annexation if they get rid of townships and township zone.
No, your annexation is still available.
Well, no, I mean, I know that. It's still.
They're not getting rid of townships, they're just getting rid of zoning.
But you don't have another government agency that you deal with. You come in to develop. If they get rid, if in fact the.
So they'll tell you what the zoning is. So the Ohio Township Association has been working on this for years.
Well, that's what I'm getting up to.
Yeah.
Where are we with the township organization? Are they in fact,
The
How are they-
Ohio Township Association has
are
gone
they
to-
viewing this as something that they're going to be successful to keep? I mean, it's been out there, their pressure's been there for a lot of years. It's
Right.
not all brand new.
no,
But it's the first time it's been, that I'm aware of, where you've been reading about in the paper that they're actively.
yeah,
Doing it.
so they've held for the last year, they've held public meetings for the last year. Public meetings have been going on this topic. The Ohio Township Association has sent speakers representing the townships, speakers and attorneys to these meetings. And so without going into an economics lesson, what they're asking for, number one, isn't going to work for what they want to achieve. They're wanting more housing and affordable housing. That's not how you do it. But the Builders Association is pushing it because, like you said, it makes it easier for them to do that. However, if we don't have the utilities, even with that, if Delaware County says this is your new zoning plan. Okay?
Yeah.
So maybe they're telling us 4 to the acre, 2 to the acre, whatever it is. All right? If we don't have the utilities for them to develop that, they can still annex.
Well, that's what I would expect to have happen. And I'm just wondering, in terms of with all this happening, to what extent are the legislators, particularly our legislator, Lear and Brendan, how are they warming up to it?
I heard, Mike, we were at a meeting, we heard that they're taking it seriously. That's all I know so far, is that they're taking it seriously. Because there's so much pressure for housing and they're
Well, I
not.
know that. I think that's where the pressure would be
Right.
to try to address that.
But the problem that they're not seeing, real quick economic lesson, if you go to Galena and Sunbury, their starter homes are at $500,000. That's not affordable housing.
No.
And a 2x4 costs a 2x4. I don't care where you put it. You know, and plumbing fixtures are the plumbing fixtures. You can buy the cheapest you want, but you can only go to a certain part by code. All right, so the legislators are listening to the builders and the developers to get the land. So they're saying, well, that way we can get more housing out there, we can get more affordable housing. That's not where the affordable housing comes from. Because as you can see, you've got little lots, 5 to the acre, little lots. You know, 1,400 square foot houses, which are fine. They're $500,000, right? They're 475 to 500,000. But that's not affordable. You know, for a new family starting out, that is not an affordable housing. So the affordable housing comes, if you watch the economics. So it's in the olden days. All right, you buy a starter home, you go to the next home, and then you go to the next home usually. So, but somebody's selling these homes as you work up the pipe. So people like myself and like you, we live in larger homes that we raised our families in. But we're not selling those homes and moving to a smaller home, so the next family doesn't get to move up, and the next family doesn't get to move up. These used homes are cheaper than the new homes. That's where your affordable housing, so that starter home that somebody started and moved out of is cheaper than the new house. But they're, the tier, nobody's moving. And if you'll watch in the paper, go on Zillow and poke in 43082. There's no houses for sale. You see what I'm saying? So that's not where so that's not where the affordable housing is, that you get people moving. So people in our age group, we sell and we move into a smaller, easier to maintain home, let's say. All right, but what happens is we go to look as a whole. We go to look at a smaller, more affordable house for the wife and I to retire in and go visit the grandkids and all that jazz. But they want $500,000-600,000 for that smaller house. And so you and I go,
2 bedroom,
huh?
2 bedroom.
Yeah, 2 bedrooms. So you and I and all the people in our category, we look at that and go, well, why would I take the money that I got for my bigger house and put it into a smaller house and still have nothing left over? You know, so that's it's clogged. This pipeline is clogged. But the builders aren't telling people that. They're saying we need easier land, easier. So, but
How do we educate the legislators who are gonna be the ones?
You need to talk to Beth Clear. And
I've talked to Beth.
well, again, because
Again.
she does not want. Got it, we're on Zoom, so
Yeah.
she does not want the type of housing
Right.
that a lot of the legislators are looking.
Right, and so that was the other point, there again, economic lessons, so the only way you're gonna get that 2x4 in that $475,000 house or $500,000 house cheaper is to have government subsidies. Yeah, which is the taxpayers paying for it, it's government. And so they'll put out incentives to the developers and the builders to do this, to make it more affordable. And that's our tax dollars. And then that's when you get that's usually a federal program. And it's been my experience,
City of Columbus is doing it.
but they got federal money. See, they got the $100 million from the feds with the guideline. All right, so when you get the federal guidelines, it's been my experience in 50-some years of doing this, that it's bad. Their controls are bad, they're after watching it after it's done, they disappear and leave the aftermath for the locals.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, so,
Jim,
yeah,
we're on 75 minutes.
Yeah,
Cool.
We'd have to take a vote to continue, or
I think we wanna.
if Mike, did you have anything? I like the
No,
idea of
no,
talking to Beth Lear.
That's, that's what I really wanted to know is in terms of. You are aware, of course, I knew you would be aware, but what is in fact being done in anything? And there are some things happening that hopefully can address this.
Well, maybe,
The county, I wonder where the county is on it. Has anybody talked with them about it? Are they gonna be happy to have that happen, or are they gonna be more supportive of townships?
They're not happy to have that happen. I was just up there meeting with Delaware County. You're talking about the zoning coming
Yeah,
with us. No, they're not happy about that. They are against that. For the same reasons we are.
plus, I don't know how you implement that.
I don't know either, but
You got 88
the
counties.
legislators think about implementation.
Yeah, you got 88 counties in Ohio and like what Delaware's got 18 townships.
Yeah.
And, so how do you go through and change the zoning in 18? That's just monumental, just in Delaware.
And the places where the focus is gonna be on the urban areas, townships that are close to
But if
those.
they pass the legislation, they have to do it for the state.
Yeah, so how are they gonna do it?
I have
That's
no
the
idea.
question I'm asking myself.
That's nasty. Okay. We can talk here after we go off. We gotta get off, adjourn.
anybody online that needs?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, my name is Sam from Majestic Greenland. So I missed one question. You guys, township send a letter to like a AEP transmission. May I know the what is regarding and how is that going to help, property owners?
Any translators? We can't understand,
Yeah, we can't.
Okay.
understand.
the electronics are
Is that
bad.
spelled?
One end or the other.
Yeah,
Can you send a chat?
Yeah, I can do that. So what my question is like initially, you guys said like a township send a letter to AEP transmission. So I missed that. So what is that letter you guys send it to? So
Well, I heard it's
AEP.
AP and township.
that's all I heard is AEP Township. Ask him
All of our
to.
information we have online anyway.
We had the AEP information online, you might. send
okay,
it.
I will send a text or email.
Okay.
I move we adjourn.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. A vote, everybody aye,
Aye.
nay? We're adjourned. 7:46.
Good job.
Not all yet.
No, he just zoomed in.
Oh, that's fine.
I know that. Well, no, the part wasn't.